For today's tech review, I have here iPhone 15 Plus. We're asking, is it worth it 2 years later? I'm giving you the insights, the breakdown, so I can help you decide if this is still a good option not much later. Now, disclaimer, no sponsorships in this video as always, and if you don't believe me, here is the receipt for full transparency. I bought this phone on Facebook Marketplace for $450, and just so I can give you a real, authentic, honest review. If you appreciate that, subs, comment, subscribe, it all helps. Now, I really want to make a case why this phone is still a good option. As you see, you can get these phones now on discount because they're much older. And let's start off with the first. Here's why. The standout specs, features, and overview, right? Let's look at just what you can get around this price range. And mostly, let's just look at iPhone 15's, the base, the Plus, the Pros, and let's talk about the 16e because that's also around the same price range. So if we look at the iPhone 15 series, the Plus is like the middle brother when it comes to the price range and also the specs. You look at the 15, that carries the same camera quality as the 15 Plus, but obviously it's slightly smaller, coming at 6.1 screen size, and also meaning smaller battery. Battery capacity is at 3,349, whereas the Plus has the 4,383. And so if you want that bigger screen, bigger battery, go for the Plus. And then obviously, if you want to go a little bit upgrade, then you go for your Pros. And then you're looking at around $100 to $200 price difference. And ultimately, what you get is somewhat the same experience with the little caveat, cameras are a little better on the Pros. You get a better zoom quality, you get your telephoto, and better video quality. All in all, in my perspective, if you're a video content creator, then you go for your Pros. But if you're an average user and you still want that iPhone experience, you can't go wrong with the Plus, and you get a little bit more battery, bigger screen. Now, the big thing that's really positive is, all these 15 series phones, 2 years old, they'll be getting updates up to 2028 to 2030. Apple typically likes to update their phones for 5 to 7 years, so you still got some time. And if you're someone who likes to carry your phone for about 2-3 years, and you have a pretty good solid length of use with this phone. Now, let's talk about the new one, the 16e, mostly because it's right around the same price range, coming at $600, but it's 128 gigabyte storage. So while it's obvious, a new phone's going to have a new chip, has the new 818 Bionic, it means also that it's going to get longer software. But let's talk about the standouts. You're getting less storage, 128 gigabytes, and you get weaker cameras compared to the 15 Plus and the iPhone 15. The smaller display, meaning also smaller battery. So think about that as far as if you really want to go for the 16e. In my opinion, I think the 15 Plus is a better option. Now, I do want to talk about some other options around this 450 to 600 price range. And so let's look at some Android options. I am an experienced Android user. I've been using it for the longest time. In fact, the last iPhone that I had was the iPhone 4. And since then, I've used LG, Samsung Pixel, OnePlus, a plethora of Android phones. And so really, let's just talk about the main ones around this range. And those would be OnePlus 12, Samsung S24 Plus, Pixel 9, and Pixel 9a. And I ranked them in that way because, in my opinion, I think that'd be first place OnePlus, and then towards the end, Pixel. And let's talk about some positives for these options here. With the OnePlus 12, you're getting a better battery, arguably a better camera, in my opinion, compared to these other Android options. I will note, though, it lacks in the selfie department for the camera. The other two, I'd say, probably have a better one. The big issue with the OnePlus 12 selfie camera is it has an issue with its processing when you're outdoors. It does really bad with lighting. And then if you're looking on paper, 4 years of software update, I don't really see that as a con because as far as longevity goes, when OnePlus updates its devices, they don't really show a lot of degradation compared to the other options that I mentioned, Samsung Pixel. And then lastly, if you don't like the curved screen, there is that to consider. So keep that in mind. Now, when you look at the Samsung S24 Plus, if you're into features, this is for you. I've used Samsung in the past, and I did love it at one point. You know, you had your decks, your modes of routines, and you had other really nice, neat features. But at some point, I was always lacking in wanting better camera experience. You know, the skin tone is just a little off with Samsung, especially in the selfies. It's always making me look a little bit sickly, yellowish, and so I didn't really like that. And lastly, while they say on paper 7 years of updates, we've seen a track record where Samsung has been delaying their softwares, and they're pushing them back. And even when they update, I have noticed that the batteries tend to degrade a little bit after a year. So take that in consideration. Now lastly, when we talk about Pixel 9, a lot of people love these phones. I have a love-hate relationship with them. Mostly hate now, having used Pixel 7, and I've noticed that since they've used their Tensor chips, they continue to have overheating issues, and so I really can't advocate these phones being great, because yes, they're great for the camera picture-wise, rear and selfies. Their true tone colors are amazing, but their video still needs some work. And while there are 7 years of updates, I don't really see it as being, you know, reliable as a whole product. Now, with those options out of the way, I do want to just show some appreciation more on the iPhone 15 Plus, because again, I have been an Android user for the longest time, and I just want to say that this phone at its price range is such a good option for many reasons, as I already mentioned. But my goodness, this phone is beautiful. It's really thin, and if you like that alert slider that Apple is known for, it's the last one in the series that'll have it. After the 16, they removed it. Another thing that I really like and appreciate is on that left screen is you get a nice little today view where you can have some customization of some widgets. And I really like this because on some Android phones, you get this Google page, which on OnePlus and Pixel you can't disable. But on iPhone, at least you have some, you know, flexibility as to which widgets you like. Another thing that I am really having fun with is the control center. You know, you don't really have that notification center like Android, but you do get to, you know, have some flexibility in widgets and here, and it's kind of really neat. I feel like you can get these features still on Android, maybe using like other launchers, but it's nice to see it, and yeah, pretty nice. And then another cool feature is, you know, the dynamic island, something that's been adopted from OnePlus and now Samsung. And you know, these phones keep taking from each other, but it's really cool to have the timer, you know, all up on the screen there, so you don't have to go to the app. I really like that. And then lastly, if you've not been using iPhones because of Lightning ports, that is gone because they've used the USB-C port. And that's a big reason why you might want to use this, so that you don't have to keep switching, you know, your cables. Well, now you don't have to because you have the USB-C. Another cool thing, and I've noticed, is iPhones, because they're just so popular, you get a lot more flexibility with cases and accessories. You know, Samsung is up there in Android, so you get a lot of, you know, accessories, but iPhone just has so much more. And the last thing I will say is, you know, I do like my Androids, but iPhone as a whole is just a more consistent experience in terms of the software. I will admit that there are some caveats, you know, like lack of clipboard, no full navigation, but it is a workaround. But if you want that camera experience, it is pretty cool. I'll put down some sample shots here in the video, and you can see for yourself. all around, is it the best camera? I wouldn't say yes. I feel like honestly there's another better camera up there in terms of Android, like a Vivo. But I mean, for its price range, $450, you get a pretty good day-to-day phone, and can't really complain on this one.